And good afternoon. Welcome to another conversation at the table. Well, it is the last day of not having shelter in place. Shelter in place is coming in about 12 hours, and I suppose we're all trying to figure out how that's going to work and what we're going to do. And some of us are probably running around making sure we have what we need before it happens. I know we've done a little bit of that here at the Bresson House. By the way, if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know here at the table. Contact us through our page here. You can even comment here in during the video, and we'll contact you back, or we'll contact you here, and we'll make sure that that we hear what you need, and we'll try and take care of it if we can. So if there's anything we can do to help, how can the table serve you? We'd like to know that. Also, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, we will have drive-by communion at Memorial Park, 3 p.m. at the Memorial Park Pavilion, right next to the Boys and Girls Club, which is across from the high school here in Los Fresnos, just north of 100. Again, we'll keep it safe. We're going to have everybody at 6 feet. If you prefer, we can do it with you in your car. But 3 p.m. Memorial Park, we will do communion. We'll have drive-by communion, and again, it's you show up, and we will provide that for you at the table. And again, we'll also have confession and absolution to go with that. So anyway, some have been wondering about that. You've been asking about that, so there it is. There's a lot of really cool things happening online and even in the community. People helping people. I've seen a lot of help. It's been really cool, even here in the neighborhood, our neighborhood, and the neighbors around here the last few days. People helping people in a time that is uncertain, a time that's not normal. But it's been really cool to watch and see. We live in a great city. And so when I see people bringing eggs and necessities to other people that can't get out or that need help, that's been pretty awesome to see. It's even happened to the Bressons, by the way. Thank you, Anna, for your help for our family over the weekend. That was awesome. But anyway, it's been great to see people reaching out to people. The hands and feet of Jesus working in the community has been something special, something we talk about all the time, but don't always get to see firsthand. And we certainly have been able to see this firsthand this week. Have you noticed that your phone is tending to run a bit lower? Mine sure is. I'm having to charge it a little more often these days because it's getting a big workout. Phone addiction was a problem and has been a problem in our culture, but now the phone is a lifeline. So it is a good time now that shelter is in place is coming to disconnect and to be off the phone. But it's also a time in which we then use our phones as tools to help others. And so as I was thinking about what to talk about today, I was thinking about all the really neat things, people helping people here in the neighborhood, bringing necessities to them, neighbors knocking on doors, just all the neat stuff. It's a reminder that we can be in contact with each other through our phones and through our laptops or whatever else that you use to connect to the internet. But it's a good thing. It's a good tool. It's a good time to be contacting others. And so my challenge to you is at least once a day, choose one person you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe it's on your Facebook scroll. As you scroll down your list of Facebook friends, maybe you see somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Choose one person you haven't talked to and contact them. Message them. How are they doing? How are the kids? How's the job? How are they spending their time hunkering down? How can you pray for them? You'd be surprised. You ask these kinds of questions, the kinds of conversations that you can have when people are in isolation. These are questions that are also very helpful in cutting through the isolation. It's very easy, even if we spend a lot of time online, to feel very isolated. In fact, the statistics also show us that even these days, as most of us are online a lot of the time, that we're in more isolation than ever. Well, why is that? That's because we spend most of our time either scrolling or forwarding stuff or um, liking the various pictures and maybe commenting a two on things, but it's really more of a superficial type of connection. Asking questions of people and actually contacting them and messaging them and asking them how they're doing, how can you pray for them, what's going on in their life, that has a way of cutting through the isolation. Now, one thing that I have noticed, the downside, again, in the scrolling and in being on Facebook and Twitter more than we're used to being on, because now we have more time on our hands in our homes, it's very easy for us to remind ourselves of how bad things are. Clicking on the latest news item or clicking on the latest announcement from our government, clicking on the latest report, or even the latest editorial from someone who is quite angry about things that are going on. There's a lot of not so good stuff out there. So it's very easy to remind ourselves of how bad things are and get caught up in the fear. And so if we spend some time, just like I said, pick one contact, ask them how they're doing, that's one way that we just kind of cut through all the fear and the memes and the hysteria. And that brings us back to this passage that we've been looking at for the past couple of weeks, Isaiah 43. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I've called you by name. You are mine. I will be with you. I will be with you. I will be with you. We were made for community. That's why it's so hard to shelter in place. I mean, even sheltering in place is going to be a challenge for some, especially the kids. And it's in the kids that we see this. We adults we've become professional at not being very good at community. But the kids, most kids at least, they're good at community. It's why they're the biggest risk factor for coronavirus. They're the ones, they're carriers. And they're carriers and they're the risk factor because they like to get together. And it's not, I don't think it's not simply because they don't know any better. They don't know any better. They're probably not, and they can't comprehend the danger. But at the same time, they want community. They have to have community. And so as I look at my kids, even my son, he's 18 years old, he wants community. We can look at our kids. I can look at the little league team. They want to be together. And you know why? Because it's built in. We were made for community. It's hardwired into who we are. Made in the image of God is community. That's why it's so hard to shelter in place. Adam and Eve in the garden were created in community with God. It says God walked with them in the cool of the garden. God had conversations with Adam and Eve. It was an ongoing thing. Now, when Adam and Eve sinned, community was broken. And that went away. But a couple thousand years later, Jesus showed up. And Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. Jesus died, and Jesus rose again to restore the community, God with us. So Emmanuel presumes community. Jesus is with us. So that's Isaiah 43 here as I'm looking at my text. Isaiah 43, I am with you. Jesus is with us. So do not fear. But then, as Jesus is with us, then he has created us to be in community. He's created his new creation, his community of faith, to be in community with others. So just as Jesus is God with us, we are now Jesus with others. We incarnate Jesus with others in our conversations, in our relationships, in being the hands and feet of Jesus in our communities. So we incarnate his grace, his life, his forgiveness when we connect with others and ask them how they are doing, and then remind them of the same things we've been reminded in Jesus and encourage them. So shelter in place, but stay connected. Connect people to Jesus by bringing the grace of Jesus into their lives. And it's not hard. There's no magical formula. There's no magic words. It's just a phone call. Just ask how they're doing. Just one person. One person, and do that at least maybe once a day, once every couple of days, but one person. And over time, you'll find that you're connected to all sorts of people. And I hope that we are doing that for you here at the table as well. If you need somebody to talk to, hey, contact us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. It'd be great. Let's strike up a conversation, get to know each other better. That'd be awesome. So, see you at 3 o'clock this afternoon, Memorial Park. We'll have drive-by communion. And stay tuned to this Facebook page. We will have a link to a Zoom Bible study, and that'll probably happen tomorrow or Thursday. But anyway, that's coming as well. So, as always, comment below. Ask questions. Ask any question you want. You can ask some questions about Isaiah 43 or the scripture, or some scripture you've been looking at. Ask your questions. We'll try to answer them. And we will see you next time when we have another conversation at the table. Good afternoon.